This will be an assembly video of the EggFinder TX side. I also have a video for the RX side that you can go to, but this will be for the TX side. Alright, the first part is that they want you to tape the board down to the work surface using paper masking tape. It's important that you use the paper masking tape, not Scotch tape. Scotch tape can have static electricity on it, and that's never a good thing when working with sensitive electronics. And the first step is going to be, we're going to tin these 8 pads here because it's going to make it easier to get the GPS module on. Got my soldering station set to 650 degrees. And here we go. I might need to take some off of that pad here. I might have to actually change tips on the soldering iron. There, that one worked better. That's how you want to kind of sink in there and be nice and level with the pad. Let's see if I can get this to go a little bit better. There, that sank down real nice. Let's see if this one will do the same thing, or there might be just plain too much solder on that pad. Well, yeah. Let's get some solder wick out, fix that. There, that looks a little better. Maybe take a little tiny bit more off. There. Now, this is the GPS module. These are the pads that we're going to want to have soldered onto the ground plane really nicely. And, alright, we want to match it up on here, so we see that there's a gap. And these leads here to match up to here, and this needs to be positioned very precisely, and they do recommend taping it down. Looks like the silk screen is exactly big enough for what we're looking for here, so get it right on top of that silk screen there, that basically the outline. Take your time doing this because this is critical, and if you do it wrong, it will be next to, if not completely impossible to fix it. I notice I'm moving it around a little bit, but I'm going to double and triple check my alignment, make sure that it's perfect before I proceed. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, important step. Cover the gap between the PC board and the shield of the GPS module. I just moved it there, so I might as well just take this tip off here. Well, what we're doing is we want to make sure that no solder accidentally gets up into that module there, because that will hose it. So there's on that side. Now at this point, what you want to do is solder one pin there. Then we will solder the second pin. Alright, I think I got it that time. Can't really see that very well at this angle. Alright, that got into it. And then carefully take the piece of tape that's holding it onto the board off and check your alignment. Make sure nothing moved, because at this point with just two pins soldered you can still take it off, you can still fix it, but once you get it all soldered on there, good luck getting that thing off. Got a magnifying glass here. They recommend a jeweler's loop, but how many of us have? I suppose some people might have those. Alright, I'm going to reposition this so it's a little easier for me to get at. I'll try to do this pin right here. And that joint did not fill. There, now it filled. Go back to this side now. So you want to do this like lug nuts on a car, which is to say you want to alternate between which pads you're going so that one side has just a little bit of time to cool off. Come on. I'm going to have to come back to that one. Man, this one's... There we go, that one went. I like to try to get the tip right up in the well there so it's making good contact. Get some solder on the pad, and if you're lucky, it should follow right up into the pin. Sorry if not all of these are making it into the video here. It's like a toss-up of trying to get you guys a close enough view and letting me get a close enough view. That didn't go. Come on, wake up there. Not sure if that's a good connection or not. Have to revisit it after it has a little bit of time to cool off. Well, shoot, that one might be giving me issues. When you do it right, you should see it just like wick right up that contact. What the? Alright, let's see where I need to do some rework. Looks like there is solder going up each well. I just want to... There's a couple little spikes on there where I might have used a little too much, but I just want to see if I can get a little bit of solder off there. There we go. Alright, I think I'm good. Alright. Well, I was supposed to do this before, I guess, apparently doing all those other pads, but now we will do these pads underneath, and this is why they were pre-tinned, to help get the pad on the GPS module actually soldered. So just put it in there, you fill it with solder, and you should see the solder fall down, letting you know that it's getting onto the pad. So I think the issue is trying to get this sufficiently heated up to get the... There we go. Jeez. Alright, looking through the magnifying glass, it looks like it fell all the way through. What other tips do I have? I'm at 650 degrees right now. Alright, let's see if this works a little better. Not flowing yet. There we go. Alright, I think that flowed. And you should alternate again and wait 30 seconds between pads, just so you don't overheat the module. Alright, last one. Alright, there it is. Little divot in each one, which I guess lets you know that it went down into the hole. And near as I can tell by looking in there, it looks like it fell in there, so I guess we'll find out if it works. Now what we will do is mount the Hope RF module. And this one here is not too difficult. There's these pins here and 2 pins over here. It lines up pretty obviously there. And hold this in place. What we're going to do is take 2 leads. You can use your LED leads, but it has you mounting the LED later, so these are from the receiver, but just use some clipped off leads you might have. Just stick it through a hole there. And stick one through a hole here. And that will keep your module nice and lined up while you tack it on the first couple bits of solder. Now what I'll do is I'll tape this down with a little bit of tape so it doesn't move. Unfortunately, the pads on this are a bit larger than the ones on the GPS, because the leads will hold it somewhat, but it'll still move around a little bit. So there, now it's flowing. There we go. Now, for the antenna one, they recommend that you put a little toothpick in there, but I've been pretty good about not putting huge amounts of solder on here, so I will forego the toothpick and hopefully not mess it up. If I can just touch the pad instead of the iron. Not sure it got down to the board pad there. Yeah, it looks like both my joints there are no good. Alright, I'll have to come back to that. I think this tip is not making it easy for me. Alright, that one flowed. And ideally you want to wait about 30 seconds between doing each connection here, because there are very, very tiny pieces parts on this board and you don't want to overheat it and cause something to tombstone, because good luck soldering those microscopic surface mount parts on there. I'd like to see the machine that actually places those on there, because those are tiny, tiny, tiny. There it goes. Hopefully I didn't fill up that hole. I think the problem is I just need a tip that's not sharp like this, and I don't. All I have are like these super fine tips, and then there's a bunch of ginormous tips. Boy, this one right here is probably the best connection yet. Whoops. Just a nice little bit of solder flowed up there real nicely. Ideally you want to use the minimum amount of solder. I'm afraid to turn this tip up to 700 because I really don't want to overheat anything here. There we go. Just one more connection to go. Actually, while I'm waiting for that to cool, I can move on to some of the other things too. Let's go ahead and do the voltage regulator. That's going to be this guy right here, and he's going right on these pads here. First, we're going to pre-tin that top pad. Actually, I'll just go ahead and pre-tin a bunch of pads right here, just in preparation. There we go. There's that. There's one of the capacitors. The other capacitor. This will be for the bridge regulator. Resistor. Another resistor. There. Now this should be cool enough. I'll finish off the Hope I Did It Right RF module. There's that. Oh, come on. There we go. Alright, now I will inspect my connections on there, make sure everything looks good. All the surface mount parts look good, nothing tombstoned on me. Okay, I think it all looks pretty good. Alright, so for these parts, get the alignment as best you can. And then what I like to do is just hold it down with something, and we'll heat up this pad right here. And that should be good, and then we can solder the rest of the pins down. Come on, there we go. I think that got up onto the pin there. There. And this guy here is polarized. You can see there's a minus and a plus, a minus and a plus. So that's how he's going to go on there. We'll hold him down, solder one leg in. There it goes. I'm going to let that part cool down and get something else on here. The capacitors are identical, so let's get these real quick. And they recommend not working with a carpeted floor below you, because if you drop one of these parts on a carpeted floor, yeah, good luck finding it. It might be a cold joint there, I'm not sure. I'll hit it again. Let me get the other side of this thing. There, that one actually went on pretty easily. Oops, a little bit of a blob of solder on the board. There it goes. Don't want to give it heat for too long, because you don't want it to tombstone on you. And I think this side here I didn't like. There, that should be on there good now. This one just looks a little iffy too. There, that looks a lot better. Maybe a little bit too much, but. And let me just make sure that this side is good. There we go. We are in the home stretch here. We got all the hard bits done. Well, actually, the resistors are a little harder than the caps, but. That side. Let's reflow that. There we go. That looks better. Alright, now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 resistors. 222, 222, 331, and a 103. Alright, so you gotta have good eyes to read these, but there's the 222s. And that would be 2.2 k ohms, or 2,200 ohms. First number is, well, the first two numbers are the actual value, and the last number is how many zeros to put after the first two numbers. So 2, 2, and then 2 zeros for 2,200 ohms. And these will just immediately drop out. So 222 right here. And these guys are really easy to tombstone, so see how quickly I can get on and off this thing. Alright, did that make the connection? Looks like it's up on there. That one's gone. Let me be a lot more careful flipping this one over. I actually do have another couple spares from the receiver. Fortunately, they give you more than one of each resistor in case something like that happens and you lose one. I like to blow on it and just wait a couple seconds to give the solder a little bit of time to solidify. .331. That is a 330 ohm resistor, and this one's going right next to the LED. So it must be the current limiting resistor for the LED. Two leads. The longer lead is the positive one. However, if for some reason you clip the leads to, when you put this guy on, actually you're supposed to put this guy on after, but if you've already clipped the leads, come on, focus right there, you can see inside the case the bigger piece is the negative side and the smaller piece is the positive side. So the smaller is positive and the bigger is negative. Smaller has the longer lead attached to it. And compared to surface mount, through hole parts are a cinch. Come on. There we go. And just clip them off. And if you're doing this before you do the Hope RF module, like if you're following the instructions to the T, you want to save these leads, and that way you can poke these through the holes here to hold your module in place. Now there's the various pins on there. So we have 3, 2, and 2. So there's 3, 2, and 2, and it looks like I got an extra little bit here. And these are jumpers that you'd use, I think, if you have a EggFinder LCD, then you can actually program this for whichever frequency you want to be using. And I'm going to go up to 700 degrees for this because these bigger pins are going to suck up heat a lot faster. Let's see here. That one actually went on nice and straight, so I don't have to adjust anything. I was going to reheat the pad and adjust it to make it straight if it didn't go on straight, but this went on straight. Come on. There we go. There's that. Here's a trick. We'll just pre-tin these pads real quick. And hopefully that'll make it, give it just enough resistance. And there's a little bit too much resistance there, but you know what? That will work in our favor. Because now what I can do is just reheat the pad. Not quite in yet. There it goes. Then we'll tack on the one we didn't tin, and we'll just clean this one up. It's a little crooked. There we go. Alright, now we're going to do the antenna. First thing they want us to do is just clean a little bit, about ½ an inch from the last end, just to make sure that it has a good mating surface, there's no oxidation there. Use an emery cloth, or I just got some sandpaper here. That should do it right there. And let me file down the end of this, because I guess sharp edges can affect how well the antenna will radiate. I think there's still a little bit of a sharp edge on there. Looks a bit better. Then bend about 1/8 of an inch at the end, a 90-degree angle. Looks like about 1/8 of an inch right there. And then we will insert it into the antenna hole here. This is why it had you do the general. Alright, if you follow the instructions, you do these last, but okay. What I will do is solder from the top, then I can hit the bottom. Hold it down with a finger, there we go. Still at 700 degrees, but hopefully there's enough, because it's going to suck up a lot of heat. There we go. There's a little needle on there, but I can fix that, but the main thing is it's kind of holding it in place there. Before I solder through, I might as well we'll go through. Now, you can put masking tape on these, but I haven't had a problem with boiling or putting huge amounts of solder on, so I'm just going to go ahead and that's a little bit cockeyed. Let me reposition it. Shoot. There we go. I'll hit the bottom. And there's the antenna. Now cut it 80 millimeters from the end of the board. The length is important because it will tune this to approximately the 900 megahertz band, which is what this operates on. So it's going to be right there. There we go. And then you want to free this up of sharp burrs. Yes, I'm using the little file on my keychain here. I forgot to bring my file from home. Alright, what I'm going to do, this is temporary, but I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple little leads in here, just so I can hook up the battery for testing purposes. I'm going to figure out some way to have a connection. I could either get a nice toggle switch that's like a good one that's not going to turn itself off mid-flight or something, or maybe just have some sort of a quick disconnect, but something like that. It's just so the battery's not always connected. I wish they would have had like maybe a header or something to connect the battery to. I'm just going to lightly tack these on here just for testing purposes. See if it works. There we go. Those are on there good. Clip them off so they're not obscenely long. And the polarity doesn't matter on this because of this bridge rectifier here. What this does, normally this would be used to turn AC into DC. It takes the plus and minus alternations of a AC sine wave and makes them all positive to feed to the voltage regulator. But if you have DC, it'll take whichever side is positive and negative, and it'll output it correctly the way that the circuit wants it to see. So let's plug this in and see what happens here. I saw a quick flash and nothing. Oh, that's because the run jumper is not on. There. And there is a flashing red light. And according to the instructions, it's sending out packets right now. So I will get my EggFinder RX, which I have mounted in a box. Take the lid off and turn that on and see if I get a corresponding blinky on that. And then once the GPS gets a fix, the amber light will start flashing, but I don't expect that's going to happen in here because inside a building. But I'll take it outside and see what I can get. Oh, and if you're interested, this is the battery I got for it. It's bigger than I expected, but it's a 800 milliamp hour. It's a 2-cell 7.4 volt battery, but this should have enough power to run this thing for a really long time. Hopefully long enough for me to find my rocket. So here is the RX. If I can get them both in frame here. Turn that on. Oh, what just happened here? I think, yeah, I came off my battery. There we go. And I'm getting a green flashing light on the receiver, which means it should mean that it's receiving packets from the transmitter. And so, alright, I'll take this outside and I'll hook it up to my phone and we'll see if we have signs of life. So here's the rocket.